Hello, and thank you for joining me once again. Will be the segment 3 for the evening for the Revoked Civil Servant, and I'm Philip Branton. Appreciate you following along. On this third segment, I've got two separate articles. One is sports related. I've had people. Well, how does this relate to sports? How does work you do at Spay War Atlantic work? That's military. How does it relate to sports? If you could show how it relates to sports, I might be interested. Okay. It just came out that I think his name's Patrick Mahomes. He's the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. You got to think for a second. He just signed an endorsement deal with Hunts Ketchup. Now you're saying, Chris, big deal. Why am I listening to this, and why does this matter to me? Well, you got to think about history. Think about how Joe Namath was used. Got to study that media, marketing, timing history. Sports is not a distraction. By any stretch of the imagination. There's all this, hullabaloo to keep politics out of sports. Well, see, that's really right the opposite. Okay? Now, Mahomes signing this endorsement deal with Hunts Ketchup, you got to think, that's Kansas City. Kansas City. Kansas City. Why is that so strategic? Well, you got to use Google Earth. Now, when you go into Google Earth, pull up Kansas City, what do you see? Well, I'm also going to tag to another article about Google Earth that you can read. It's a very good article. And basically everything in the article, I could have probably told you back in 2004 or whenever it was I went to Reston, Virginia. So that's been over a decade ago, almost 15 years ago. 13 years ago when I went to Reston. You got to look at the timing of this announcement for this endorsement, because those negotiations take time. This just doesn't happen overnight. Either the quarterback, Mahomes, he was contacted, let's say a week ago, 2 weeks ago, let's say a week ago, and said, hey, we got a deal for you. You interested? And he says, okay, yeah. It either happened that way, overnight, or B, it happened, first or second week in the football season. Because, hey, this Mahomes guy, boy, look at him. He's a pretty good quarterback. And some old slouch, kicking his heels up there at Hunts Ketchup. He gets a knock on his door. He goes, yeah, come on in. What's up? And the boss says, hey, Mr. Salesman, we need to do something to get our Hunts sales, our Hunts Ketchup up. Heinz Ketchup, they're beating the tar out of us. They got that old Kerry up there, Mr. Democrat, and they're getting all the publicity. What are you cooking up for Hunts Ketchup? It could have happened that way. these corporations, they're always strategizing, especially in marketing. They're always looking for a hook, get people's attention. Well, normally there's a reason behind it. Okay? Not just sales. Okay? Not just sales. Political leverage. Political leverage. Within a locality, because of some sort of development deal. Within an area, because of some sort of, deal they're trying to get with a rail line so they can get a cheaper delivery on tomatoes. Somebody said, hey, Hunts, we got to raise your rates on this the rail delivery. We got these tomatoes coming out of California, coming over here to the manufacturing plant. Our rates got to go up. Well, Hunts is saying, that means I got to raise rates over here on my consumers. And so they start negotiating and say, well, you're going to have to get your sales up so you can order more tomatoes from us. And, because of, the economy of scale. That's all happening behind the scenes. Money. So, here, Mahomes is got this new endorsement deal with Hunts Ketchup. But now go back 3 weeks ago, and you have a young football player beating the tar out of somebody in a parking lot named Kareem Hunt. Okay? Very talented, and he's a running back for Kansas City Chiefs. I dare say that all those football players, if they're not going through prevention of sexual harassment and anger management and financial classes as a part of, going and entering into the NFL, fraternity, they are. And for someone like that, with so much lights going in, with so much possibility to fly off the handle in a parking lot, something's not right. It may be legitimate. Obviously, he got mad. You can see the video, It's on TMZ, But a lot of that, maybe, I won't say it's staged, and it probably isn't. Somehow, some way, he got mad enough and made a wrong decision. And they got kicked out of the NFL. But the connection between Mahomes signing this deal with Hunt's Ketchup, I believe it's going to have the same effect as Peyton Manning signing on with Papa John's. History is going to repeat itself. Because what's going to happen is, that Monsanto verdict is going to come in. And somebody is going to say, hey, those tomatoes, they're kind of high in glyphosate. Man, we didn't know that. See, then they're going to go and they're going to stick a microphone in Patrick Mahomes' face after a football game and say, hey, what do you think about that verdict of, $50 billion against Monsanto? Okay, see where this is going? Because the history of how data is used in comparing, okay? These marketing firms, they're not stupid, okay? But sometimes their data gets manipulated on purpose. Just like Johnson & Johnson trying to manipulate the amount of asbestos in their talcum powder. And when I see this article about Mahomes signing that contract, bing, 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 3 weeks after Kareem Hunt, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Woo! Army, Navy, Air Force. Woo! Judicial, executive, legislative. That rings a serious signals intelligence bell. He's young. Do you think anybody around him has that thought? That wisdom? Has he ever sat down and watched the movie Patton and reviewed history? Has Patrick Mahomes even read this book? I mean, if he's getting millions of dollars to play football now, millions of dollars, where's he going to invest it? Is he going to invest it on the BATS exchange, or is he going to go to the IEX exchange? Is he personally going to fly up there and shake hands with Brad Katsuyama and say, hey, Brad, I'm thinking about putting a lot of money in the stock market. Would you explain this to me? I want to look you in the eye. Whew. Oh, that's what a real Joe Namath would do. Oh, yeah, he would. If Joe Namath could go back in time, there are certain things he'd probably do differently. Yeah. Can you imagine Patrick Mahomes walking on the sidelines with a copy of this book in his hand? He don't even have to say a word. A copy of this book in his hand and a bottle of Hunt's ketchup in the other, and not even say a word. Now the second one. It's an article. And yes, it's on The Guardian.